Hi guys, just a little talk between me and Bear. We got to spend some time today together. We went out and we were working on the spiller and burr, and we did a little bit of time out on the river and stuff like that. But Bear's got him a new toy. Let me see it. He's got him a...
It's the new William Collins Master Hunter.
Master Hunter. Excuse me.
William made an announcement back in June that he was going to do a test run. And of course, I just couldn't resist. I have a WCSK that I really, really like, and thought, what the heck?
It's a nice knife. I like this, the natural handle. The believe it or not, on my original prototype, that's my original prototype. That's what the handle looked like whenever I got it. So that's what them handles can wear into over time. And the Master Hunter looks kind of like a lot like the prototype, except it's got a little more of that tip on it like a butcher knife, a little more of a belly. Great for processing game. This would be a great game knife right here. And that back edge right there would be perfect for skinning. This is a bushcrafter, this is a hunting knife, but I like that.
You could only get them through Great Northern.
Yeah.
Great Northern out of Wasilla, Alaska, and I highly recommend them.
Good.
If you, they really take care of you. But they threw in this sheath as part of the deal. And I'm very pleased.
Oh yeah, very nice leather sheath. Good belt knife, perfect for what he's going to be doing. And since that's a hunting knife, one of the things we were talking about today was hunting. Here it is, mid-August, and we're getting those first teasing little tantals. Like 11 o'clock at night, you get that little cool breath of air. Not really cold, but a little cooler. When the daytime highs are close to 100, and then at night it drops down to 70, it feels like you almost, you know. So we're going to be doing some hunting this year. Now, what kind of animals have we got around your area? We've got deer, obviously. You have hogs.
We do. We've got, there's a group of hogs that moves through periodically. Squirrels, rabbits, dove, quail. Quail population's been down for a while, but they're starting to come back a little. Turkeys.
Turkeys. Well, you and I saw about a dozen turkeys in that field up there, what, last year? Was it last year or was it this year?
It was this spring.
This spring. We saw about a dozen good-sized turkeys. We were out for a walk and we ran at the corner and there was about a dozen turkeys, probably what, 70, 80 yards from us.
Oh, they weren't that far.
Yeah. I'm farsighted, so heck.
Yeah.
You know, I always overestimate. It was 600 yards out. Looks like 30 yards. No, it was 600 yards that way.
They were 30, 40 yards away from us.
And I was amazed they didn't just flush and take off. They just quietly faded back into the tree line. So, but we're close to a small town, so they're used to the sounds of humans. So that's a big advantage of getting close to them. They're not truly a wilderness type animal. They are used to the sound of man. So sounds of cars, sounds of people ain't as bad for them. Make it a little easier to hunt them.
It does. Let's see, this is the middle of August. About another 6 weeks, 8 weeks. We'll start with squirrels and turkey and rabbit.
Yeah, because we normally don't, down here we don't even start considering going after small game. Technically right now certain small game is in season like possums and stuff, but it's just so hot. There's a type of parasite down here that I don't know the official name of it, but we call it wolves.
Yeah.
Wolves. It's something that gets into squirrels and rabbits, and until it cools off, nah, it's just you shoot one and then you got that problem. We're not going to eat that meat. So to us, it's better just to wait them because they're gone by mid-September, something like that. You've got a squirrel right there because he's trimming them pecans and they keep constantly falling.
Yeah, he's throwing them at us.
Yeah. Got you in $1,000. No, that
unfortunately, I took it inside. I did have a 357 handy.
Oh yeah, that would look good. You know, make everybody.
Not on YouTube.
Not on YouTube.
I don't want you canceled.
That's it. Yeah, I was being bombed by a squirrel, so we sent a 158 grain hollow point his way.
Quit.
He quit real quick. Yeah, the tree didn't do too well either. When I was young, it was always a thing we looked for. Because we were in school together. We were in high school together. We were in grade school together. And back in our day, every young man that had a pickup truck had a gun rack in the back of it. And when we went to school,
with at least one gun in it.
There was at least one gun hanging in it. So there was your rifle or your shotgun. Some guys had both, a 30-30 and a 12 gauge. And so we would get off school and we'd run to the woods and we'd hunt before we went home.
My brother was hunting before school.
Yeah.
He worked a deal out with the principal.
He'd be late, but he'd be hunting.
He'd come in around 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and everything was. They scheduled him so he had a free period the first.
Free period, so he got to hunt.
He got to hunt. Came in.
I remember being called in junior 9th grade. I remember being called to the office because the principal wanted me to hand load ammo for him. Because I'd been hand loading ammo for people around town. And I got called because he wanted to know could I hand load ammo for him because he was going hunting next morning. One more
Since you're
my
not busy anyway.
Yeah, you know, he said, I'll let you out of school early if you'll go home and hand load me some ammo and bring it to the house.
We'll call it study hall.
Yeah, study hall. It was a different world back then, guys.
It was a better world.
In many ways, yes. We was expected to be more independent and, you know, we didn't pull a gun. We'd ball up a fist if we had a problem and, you know, it never got that serious.
And when you were done, you dusted each other off and shook hands and went about your business.
Went about your business, yeah. More than one that squared up with me back in the day became an upright citizen later on. So there was somebody who worked at the bank. Oh yeah, but there was somebody who worked at the bank, and I was going in to get a loan one time. And when I walked in, the loan officer was somebody, me and him had butted heads over a girl in junior high. And that didn't affect nothing, but when I ran in the corner, like, oh boy. Last time I remember him there was a lot of blood involved and a lot of hurt feelings, so those were the days, back in them days. But anyway, usually when we have a hot summer like this, we have a pretty cool winter. And we're already starting to see the signs. Pecan trees are doing good this year. That's going to be good feed. We're also seeing a lot of mast, a lot of acorns and stuff. And we've got a squirrel right there. That sucker is busy.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's just solid raining hulls and stuff.
He's about the size of a regulation college football.
He's so fat, he's about that big. He's been eating good pecans now. But we're going to be doing some hunting this year. Me and Bear's going to go and sit under some trees and do some squirrel hunting. And some small game hunting, probably some deer hunting later on, maybe even hog when it gets good and cold. I don't like to hunt hog until it gets cold. That's too much work when you shoot a couple of 100-pound hog. And you got to
break the news to you now.
Yeah.
When we're hunting hog, I'm going to leave my cap and ball on the shelf.
You go right ahead. I'll be toting mine.
I'm going to have my 30-06.
You go ahead. There's some big, mean hogs, you know. I still say I want to take one with that 1860.
Go ahead.
I know I can do it. I know I can place it, and I feel confident I can drop a 400 or 500 pounder.
Okay.
You know.
We're within, 15, 20 minutes of about 6 hospitals, so.
Well, you know. They don't write stories about things that are boring, so you know.
I'll even let you take this and stick him.
Oh yeah, that's all right. I got plenty of WC knives. The hard part is figuring out which knife to take. You know, I've got, of course, my original prototype. I got the Blackbird that I love. It makes me feel guilty that I don't carry the old original so much. So today I brought it. But I'm toting the Blackbird so much. And then I'm toting the other ones. And I'm carrying the NK, and I'm carrying, it just, I've got them all hanging up in my study, and I'll go up there, and whichever one you pick, you feel guilty you didn't take the other one. So, oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that movie where the guy lifts up and there's 50 knives on him. Yeah, they'll know Blackie's gone off the deep end.
Josie Wells with a blade.
Yeah, yep. We'll see how that flies. You know,
He's gonna stand there.
a cap and ball revolver and 12 knives. Yeah, I knew he was dangerous.
You gonna pull those pistols, pull those knives, or whistle Dixie?
Or whistle Dixie. Yeah, but but we've got the my gathering coming up in a little over 3 weeks. It's the 9th through the 13th, and today's like the 16th or 17th.
Yeah, today's the 16th.
So you're looking at, 3 weeks, something like that. Maybe 3.5, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have our changing limbs. He's trying to dial in the bombing.
Yeah, I know.
And we're gonna have my event, and then after that, there's some events going on up in Ohio and in Kentucky in October. I may be going to. We will see. It's if I can get the vacation time. I've got the vacation time if I can just get free. Working in retail, it's hard to get free during the holidays to do anything.
Oh yeah, you're 24/7 from about October to January.
Yeah, I mean they want me there, and they want me all the time on the floor doing what I do because they'd like me to run half the store for them.
Of course, because you're the only one that can.
Yeah, I'm just the one dumb enough to do it. But you was talking. You gonna hunt this year with that M1 Grand?
I don't know.
Well,
I've got on over with turkey. So we don't have a fall turkey season in this part of the state, but I know in the spring I've got a flintlock 20 gauge that I'm just itching to take a turkey with.
I'm hoping to get me another Fowler, a 62, and I'm on the fence with it because I love the 2 liter chase.
That's what I've got.
But my gun that I had originally had a short barrel. I got it from John Legg, and
I remember.
he was doing target competition, and so he felt that a shorter barrel burned the powder more efficiently. So he started cutting off like a 1/2 inch barrel at a time, and he'd do all this work. Next thing you know, he'd cut another inch barrel. So it starts out like a 48-inch barrel, and he'd got it down to like 36.5 is whenever I got the gun off of it.
It's a good thing you saved it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pistol if I hadn't saved it. But that was one of the most handy, quick. I loved that gun. I really did.
Well, that's why the Indians cut them down.
Well,
You could put them under a blanket and your enemy wouldn't see it till it was in his face.
yeah, got the blanket guns
Yeah.
and the canoe gun, and but I love the 62, which is basically a 20 gauge. And
yeah, you're kind of stuck on the 20 gauge.
I like 20 gauges. I like the underdog. Everybody, I gotta have a 12, and then they get upset when I outshoot them with a 20. And I don't think you were there, but the time at Whitewater that somebody, I want to say his name was Philip, and he was arguing about a 20 and a 12. There was no competition at range.
Was that the time you shot the hole out of the target at 100 yards?
I hit the center at 100 yards with my 20 gauge. Because I had that rear sight.
Yeah, nobody was hitting the target, and you cleaned the whole center of the target out.
I took the center of the target out with my 20 gauge.
But he had already won.
He had won, but I hit the target.
But then they showed your target, and
yeah, and then that made him mad because I hit it. But I got a lot of experience with it, so to me it's a trade gun. Even though it's a modern 20 gauge, that's a trade gun. And I like the challenge of going out and then hunting with it. It's easy to do it with a 10 gauge. I used to have a 10 gauge. I had lots of 12 gauges. It's more fun and sporting and challenging to do it with a 20.
I like a 12.
I can see that, yeah.
I mean, I do. I just prefer a 12. It just, the 20 gauge is just a little bit too light for me. Now I've got a 12 gauge. It's a shortened barrel.
Yeah.
We've taken it to the woods.
Yeah.
That I call Mjolnir because it kicks like Thor's hammer.
Yeah. It does that.
You've got your Stormborn, I've got my Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And it's a good little shotgun. I like it, but it's a 12.
Well, for many years when I was young, I had a Stevens model 67 pump with a barrel length we won't talk about, but it was quite handy up close, and that was my wood snake gun and everything else. I carried that in the swamps and everything because it was so short and handy. And that, hey, I was under 18. That was a long time ago.
That was before it mattered.
That was before it mattered back in them days.
I have a friend who worked on a local police department. He's long since changed jobs and retired from that new job, but he was working in a local police department nearby, and they used to keep they had a single shot like H&K or something, and they would keep it in the glove box.
A point blank, get off me.
It was cut down to a pistol grip, and they kept it in the glove box of the patrol car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a get off me now gun.
That's when you go into the Alamo, that's the one you take.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, a uncle of mine had an outhouse.
And he had a shotgun.
And he had a shotgun in the outhouse. And you'd open the door, and to the left of the door was an old Ivor Johnson single shot. The whole gun was 16 inches.
And that was back in the day, it didn't count.
It didn't count. And it was, why you got it? That was for snakes in the yard and stuff like that. It was for, he lived
in a rough part of town.
Well, I mean, you open the door, and there may be, a coon, a possum, a snake, or something in the outhouse.
Get supper out of it.
Well, yeah. But he kept it in there just for that. It was for that. I got to grab something right now.
Yeah.
And I remember the incident where his daughter had gone off to school at Alabama and had brought home for the holidays some young lady with her that was one of her frat sisters or whatever. And she had never seen an outhouse before. And so they're going to have the Thanksgiving holidays down there. Well, apparently at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, she had to go to the outhouse, and she went out there, and when she opened that door, there was a coon standing on top of the lid. And she kind of had a freak out moment because that big fuzzy cat was chasing her.
I can understand.
Yeah. But they were making all that racket, and finally the aunt got up and went out there, and the coon had gone up into a little tree pine tree right there, and she just opened the door of the outhouse, pulled the gun out, and blew the coon out of the tree, and took it in there and threw it on the back steps of the porch, and told the oldest son to get up and go clean the coon. Apparently she didn't like coming down to the young lady didn't come back for Christmas or anything for the sister.
Imagine that.
She didn't like the Beverly Hillbillies thing. It just didn't go with her very well. But, we have a very practical mindset down here in the South.
Well, you have to.
You got to live in the environment. We're living in a semi-tropical jungle. I mean,
that's why the Jungle Training Center for the United States military is about 60 miles southwest of here at Eglin.
Yeah, because you're in a jungle, and if you don't clean and cut it, it'll grow right back. We have kudzu and stuff down here. We talk about if a car's too slow, kudzu will get it.
Come to think of it, the Ranger Training is about 60 miles that way at
60
Fort
miles,
Benning.
yeah, that's where we're right down here in the middle of all this training school.
And then they airlift them C-130 and over from
jump down there.
Yeah, down there. They jump into the swamp at Eglin and walk out.
That's where
the survivors graduate.
The crocodile hunter went down there, was doing some stuff, and he scooped up that snake that cold morning. He thought it was a baby milk snake, and it was a pygmy rattlesnake. And it warmed up in his hand, and then it got coiled up and looked at him. That little rattler come up, and he was being his light and jovial self, and suddenly he got dead serious, and he went, I take full responsibility for this. This is a pygmy rattlesnake.
Crikey, this is not what I thought it was.
And it's warming up in my hand, and he gently sat it down, because they're bad. If they bite you, it's like getting bit by a big snake.
I really miss Steve.
Steve Irwin was a fine fella. He really was. I hate that he passed that way.
So young.
Yep. But he lived his life and he enjoyed it.
And has a heck of a legacy.
Yeah.
His wife and his kids are still there. They are absolutely blowing the doors off of it in Australia.
Yep. And so he's got a good name. He's got a good legacy and a good memory.
But like he's here talking, in this area of the world, North America has 8 poisonous snakes, and we've got 6 of them.
Yeah.
Literally.
The only one we ain't got, let's see, is it starts with an M. It's like Minnetongan or whatever rattlesnake that they have up around the Great Lakes, which is a variation of a timber rattler is what it is. And of course the Gila monster we don't have, that's venomous.
That's not a snake.
Not a snake, but I'm thinking anything venomous. Everything else we got.
Yeah, and what doesn't bite you will poke you.
Down here, yeah. And that's the thing we get.
I mean, it really is like living in the jungle.
We get people that go camping with us, and they talk about wanting to go camping, and a lot of times people like me and Bear, when we would say we're going to go explore this section down here, we'd get out of the car and we'd just say pick a direction. There wasn't a pre-made up campsite. It was let's go that way. And we would just start bushwhacking through it where you got to hack a path. There ain't no path. And then somebody holler, wait a minute, snake. And you got to either shoot the snake or go around the snake.
Everybody freezes.
Everybody freezes. All right, where's he at?
We used to play as kids where one guy would be turned around, everybody would run toward him, and we'd have to turn around, we'd have to freeze.
I remember the game.
I cannot remember.
I can't either. We did that in the playground when we were kids.
It's like, when you're going through the brush like that, somebody else snake, everybody stops.
Everybody freezes right there, and then he'd call out where it was and which way to go, and everybody would maneuver around.
Or shoot it.
Or shoot it. If it was one of them cases where, sorry, you got to go, bam. And if not, everybody maneuver around it and go on.
It gets kind of dicey when you're standing there with your foot on the head of a timber rattler.
Yeah. I stepped on a big eastern diamondback one time. I stepped backwards. She'd come out from a broken log behind me. And when I stepped on her, my heel went on it and she wrapped around my leg.
That was fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And she was about yay big around.
Probably full of eggs.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But she wrapped around me and I felt her squeeze tight and she's trying to pull her head free. And
What do you do?
What did I do?
No. That's just what rolls through your mind. But okay.
I can't shoot.
What am I gonna do now?
I can't shoot. I can pull my knife out and go to cutting her, but I run the risk of her coming loose. I can simply lift my foot up and let her go. And then I run the risk of she'll just uncoil and go away, or she may strike me then. She's upset. She's scared. She came out and
probably a little bit angry.
And a little bit ticked, And what I was able to do was, by luck, I had a stick in my hand when I was backing up. I had a fork on it. And so I quickly trimmed the fork and kept her head, and I shoved, which locked her jaws where she couldn't come out. And then I was able to take my other hand and start unwrapping her. And once I got her unwrapped and pinned, I backed out as far as I could, and I took off running like a scalded dog.
Yeah, you don't like snakes.
I don't like snakes, but at the same time, it's, I respect them and I go, oh, it's a snake and it's okay. But, whew, she wrapped around me like, rop, 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 and that was it. She was wrapped.
When I was about 15 years old, my mom and I were walking down on our farm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the hill, you remember that we were sitting down at the river talking and looked back out.
Mm-hmm.
We were up on top of that hill, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting under one little post oak, probably that big around, talking to her, and she was sitting across of another one facing me talking. And we had been talking, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, and she says, very, very carefully, slowly roll to your left and look behind you. And of course, immediately my hand goes to my shotgun, and I'm thinking, okay, what's behind me? She said, just turn around. So I rolled to my left very slowly, and about 6 feet behind my tree, maybe 8 feet behind my tree, was a timber rattler crawling behind my tree. He hadn't scented us or anything, but he had a head the size of my hand, and I've got a fairly large hand, and he had it up about that high off the ground, and was just crawling along.
Looking.
Yeah, he was just moving through the timber, and he was looking for targets of opportunity. And I looked back at my mother and I said, you want me to kill him? And she said, no, not this time. He's not bothering us, so let's don't bother him.
Leave him alone.
And we watched him crawl over the crest of the hill and down into that swamp at the foot of the hill.
I was in grass about that deep one time, which was the back 40 of a church.
Yeah.
They'd come in with bush hog about every 3 months, bush hog. And I was sitting down at the base of a fence post with a little bit of shade waiting on being picked up at that road. We were doing some work down there. And like you said, I looked off to the side, and that grass is about that deep, and I saw something floating. And that was the head of that snake above the grass, floating through the grass. He's 20 yards out, but what am I looking at? You think, is it a butterfly or something? But it wasn't beating, and then it dawned on me, I'm looking at a snake's head cutting through the grass. The bearded Barton, we were up at the Pathfinder gathering. 2016, I was talking to him. I had mentioned in one of my videos about snakes in a tree. And he said he hadn't seen one. Well,
come down here.
Not long after that, he'd been in a campsite, and he did a video about it. They were at a campsite and had a flood. A flash flood come through, and they had to move uphill rather quickly. And the next day he went down there, and he's trying to show, well, you're seeing the top of a picnic table, the water's even with it. Well, just beyond that was my thing. And when he turns right, me to you, coiled up on this tree about this high up, was a big water moccasin where it climbed up the tree, and it makes like a ball. He'll get in a fork of a tree or whatever, and they do that during floods or high water or whatever. They'll get up in trees or bushes. And that's one of the reasons I wear a big old hat, is I have come around the corner and looked and have the eye to eye with the snake, a big snake. And so that's one of the reasons I like big hats. But, because you can scoop that off and give him a target and get out of the way.
With all this talk, we're not doing the tourist industry any
No,
favors.
we're not doing a great, welcome to Alabama today. Yeah. Anyway.
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. Come on down to Alabama. We'll show you some jungle. Well, guys, I'm going to end it right here because we'll talk the rest of the night. And I got to go pick up Mrs. Blackie and take her to dinner, and I'm already late. So, thank you very much for watching. Please leave any questions or comments. And thank you, Bear, for coming out and spending the day with me. And congratulations on the new knife.
Thank you.
And guys, we'll do it again soon. Till next time, I'm Blackie and Bear, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.